Radio Berlin 88.8. Hey Music mit Jürgen Jürgens.
So, it's so much fun to have you back in Berlin.
Thank you.
Not only today, but in the future there will be a concert as well.
Yes.
And I think for you it's fun to be back in the past with the music you started.
Yes, I've come full cycle, really. A friend of mine who I met in Barbados, he and his wife are good friends of mine, and he's a big rock and roll fan. And he said to me, you're a rock and roll singer, why don't you do a real, good old-fashioned rock and roll? Well, it's not old-fashioned. I've used a contemporary band, and they are wonderful musicians, but they played it with the same enthusiasm that I remember from the 50s when the Shadows and I would go into a studio. We'd sit around playing together. Then we would say, okay, we're ready. And we played it and sang live. And the same thing happened in Nashville. So it was a great pleasure for me to do it. And again, I always feel that back there in the 50s, they had some wonderful songs that some of the young people of today don't know. And so for them, if anybody under the age of 25 or 30 hears my album, I think they might be surprised to discover how many great songs they were that we were singing in those days. Elvis and Little Richard and Buddy Holly and the Everly Brothers. And so it was a chance for me to pay a tribute to what really began my life. Elvis and the others, rock and roll together. They created a massive inspiration, and thousands of us wanted to be rock and roll singers, and just one or two of us got lucky.
Normally, when Christmas time is around, there is a new album out with Cliff Richard, because he's a master of Christmas songs.
Well, everybody thinks that I've only ever recorded songs at Christmas, but of course everybody releases records between October and December, because there's more sales than there is the rest of the year. So the danger of that is that when you release a record near the Christmas period, you're going to compete with the biggest and the best. So I had to compete with the biggest and the best, and sometimes I won, sometimes I had a number one. But really, when you think about it, only two of my Christmas hits were Christmas songs. One was called Saviour's Day, and one was called Mistletoe and Wine. They were about Christmas. Little Town, which I think was the best one I made, was not a number one. And there was another one called We Should Be Together for Christmas, which I thought was a beautiful ballad about how families come together for Christmas and that nothing's going to stop them, and they'll catch trains or cars or planes, anything to get back to be with their wife and children and families. And that wasn't a number one either. But I did have two other number ones at Christmas. One was called Bachelor Boy and the Next Time, and one was called, in 1962, I Love You, a song called I Love You. So, and that's it for me. So I don't know why everybody thinks I always have Christmas hits. But
I can tell you, because these albums have been so beautiful.
Well, thank you very much. Well, and the funny thing is that those albums now all belong to Warner Brothers. I used to be on EMI, and I'm now with Warner Brothers. And I don't know whether Warner's will do the same thing, but I noticed that every 4 or 5 years they would release the album again, the Christmas album, and put in anything that I may have recorded for Christmas, add it to it. So it's got more songs on it now, but not just the old ones I did. They put on Mistletoe and Wine, they put on Little Town. So it's a strange thing, but an album can go on for a long time, have a long life, and that album's had a long life for me.
Christmas in your childhood, do you have any memories?
I was born in India. My first Christmas memories were the Christmases in India. And I can remember my father had an apartment that was supplied to him by the company he worked for. He worked for a catering company, and they had the concession for the railways, and the railways were the big place. In India, if you went to eat really well, you got dressed and you went to the railway station because they had the best restaurants. And I remember all my family were in India. My father was one of 11 children. So I had lots of aunts and uncles, and they would always come to my father's house. And I remember this big room with lots of big black and white marble squares, and they used to put, I don't know, maybe 10 tables like this all down the middle, and there might be 40 of us, children and adults, and it was fantastic. I can remember one of the first exciting gifts I can remember was a bicycle, a tricycle, 3 wheels. And I remember racing around the tables and my mother saying, "Stop that noise." But it was a fantastic time. And I remember that was the one time, and again, Christmas is about getting together with loved ones and family. It was sometimes the only time I saw my cousins. Well, they were a similar age to me, and that we all lived all over India. My father lived near Calcutta. Others lived in Lucknow and everywhere. And so therefore we used to come together. Not always at my house, but sometimes we would go and meet them. But sometimes Christmas was the only time to actually meet people that were your blood relations.
What will happen this Christmas?
Well, this Christmas I'm going to try something that I tried. My house in Barbados, I moved into that house in 2001, Christmas time. And it was a very strange time because it didn't feel like Christmas. I bought a big tall Christmas tree because it has a ceiling maybe 3 times higher than this. And I bought like a 12-foot, 3 or 4 meter tree. And it came in 3 pieces. And it took me a long time to put them together. And during the time of putting the tree up, I had to go and shower 3 times. I went and made a shower 3 times. It was so hot. It didn't feel like Christmas until Christmas morning. I drove down. I can see from my view. There's a beautiful little white church at the bottom here, and I drove down to the church. And there were many people who were tourists. They came, and we all sang Christmas carols together. And then I felt it's Christmas. So I'm going to go back to Barbados this year, but now I know what to expect, so it won't bother me anymore.
So take a few showers, and have a new.
There's nothing wrong with having a few showers. No.
Yes. Now coming into an age where more normally people do nothing, they retire. From time to time you're back on stage. Last time I've seen you at the Night of the Proms.
Oh yes.
I think 3 years ago, 4 years ago.
Yes, 3 years ago. I enjoyed that. It was a wonderful time. I had a fantastic time with everybody. It's a really good team, and it felt like a family again to me. You know, even though I'd never met Boy George before, and Charlie Seam and a whole bunch of others.
I met Boy George last week.
Oh, did you? Yeah.
He's in good shape.
He's lost weight. I saw photographs of him, and he's singing really good. So we got together, and it was just like we had dinners together. It was like family. It was very, very nice.
And he was DJing.
He was DJing most nights, yeah. But so I really wished them all well when I left, and I did say if I can get a chance to come back, if I get invited again. But I think I was invited, but I have something else happening, and I can't make it. But that's the problem with our industry. You do work when you feel it's the right thing to do, and then suddenly somebody else will call and say, "Oh," and you think, "Oh, I'd love to have gone." The Night of the Proms was a wonderful experience for me, and I hope I get the chance to do it again.
But next year there will be Cliff Richard on tour again.
Yes.
What will we expect?
Well, I've already done this tour. It started in January this year in Australia. I rehearsed in Australia. I went to New Zealand. I came back. I played 5 towns in Australia. More than 5 towns. Brisbane, Newcastle, Sydney, Melbourne, Adelaide, Perth, 6 towns. And we filmed the show in Sydney. And then I took it to Manila and Singapore. Then I came back and had a break and recorded my album. Then I came back to England and I did 10 shows in England. And then I did 2 in Tel Aviv in July, and then I stopped. And then Europe said, "Oh, you must come to Europe." And so I said, "Okay, if the public will come, I'm really happy to do this show." It's called Still Reeling and a Rocking, because time is passing and I'm still doing it. So I'm trying to say to people I can still do this.
It's a DVD that has the same name. It's
the same title. Yeah, it was the show title. And so I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to do Berlin, Hamburg, Oberhausen, Frankfurt and Munich. So, and then I'm also playing Holland, Belgium, Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Paris. Oh, and Ireland.
But there's enough time for you to have a rest.
Well, what I do is I give myself more time to rest. You know, life yes, I could stop, I suppose, I could retire, but I don't think I want to retire, because then I would have to make a comeback. And I always feel when people say they make a comeback, they've really been nowhere. So I would rather stop. So like I've stopped now, and then I'll start again next May. And I'll do the May, and then I'm going to stop again. And then I'll phone my office and say, "Okay, look, I feel really good. I'd like to do something." So that's the way I do it. But I've given myself more time to recuperate. It's tough being on tour. And especially sometimes when you tour in Europe. This year I chose May. I said if you could make it late so that the winter is finished and everybody has stopped coughing and getting influenza, then there's more chance for us to survive on stage. Because sometimes I've had to perform with flu, with coughs, with colds. It's not much fun. Whereas I enjoy singing on stage. Now, if I do it in May, the weather is now starting to become the summer in Europe, so we'll all be very healthy and happy.
At this age, we all think a little bit more about the end, about having a good life, or what has happened, thinking about the past and in the future. Your mother died, and she had Alzheimer's disease in the last years.
She had dementia.
These are things that you think about, that this could happen to you as well?
Yeah, well, it could happen. I mean, I've spoken with my doctors many times. In fact, I mean, my health has been really good. And I think my doctor, she's retired now. She's a good friend of mine. But I think she wanted me to be sick so that she could make me better. But she never had to make me better. And she kept saying to me, of course, your father died of my father smoked very heavily, and he died of a smoke-related disease. He had a blood clot, and he didn't survive it at a very early age. I think he was only about 54 or 56. And so he missed the best parts of my career. And my mother got dementia. And she would still be alive. Dementia is a very dangerous, Alzheimer's, it doesn't kill you. Dementia doesn't kill you, but it takes away your life. My mother had no life. In the end, she didn't even remember me. And she didn't remember any of us. So it's a horrible way, but we learned how to just make life as easy as possible for her, and then quietly one night she passed on. And my doctor said to me, well, your father died of a disease, and I said, yeah, but it was to do with smoking, and I don't have any cholesterol. And I went and checked it out. I went to a place and said, I need to be checked, everything. And they did this scan. And they said, well, your cholesterol is so small, only 3% of Britain have this small. So he said, if I was you think of something else that might kill you and work on that. So I sent her the report and I said, look, I don't have to worry about cholesterol, other things I have to worry about. So now I have blood tests every year. They test for prostate, they test for heart, for lungs, for kidneys.
And they always say, what kind of young man is this?
I don't know about that, but so far, my health has been good. I was hearing Roger Federer talk about his tennis. They said to him, why do you think you've been so fabulously successful? And he said, I think I got the numbers right. I think he said, 50% of my success is because I never became injured. And I think 50% of my success is I never got sick. Yes, you get an infection of the throat, but I had nothing that put me in hospital for a long time. So I'm a very lucky man like that. That's something you can work at. You can work at fitness. You can, when I'm in Portugal, when I'm in Barbados, which is probably 6 months of the year, 3 months in each place. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I do the gym. Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, I play tennis. Sometimes tennis on Sunday as well for a little bit. And so when I finish my time there, I'm healthy, I'm strong, I can come to work. When I come to Europe in May, I'll be really fit because I will have spent 3 months in Barbados, in the sun, brown, vitamin D, get everything, and then I can come and work. And it's the way to work, and I'm very lucky like that. So you can work at fitness, but you can't really work at keeping away cancer or anything like that. Anything like that could happen to me. I could wake up one morning and find a blood test come back with something nasty, and I would have to work on that.
So you're thankful and lucky and thankful for having this life you have?
Oh yeah, I'm very lucky to have my life, because even though as a child, from the age of 12, I wanted to be a singer. Then Elvis came and I wanted to be a singer like that. And even when you have those dreams when you're young, there's no guarantee that you're going to have it. So thousands of us wanted to be like Elvis, and just a few of us got lucky. And so I consider myself very fortunate. And from my background, My parents were not rich people, so there was no way I was going to have piano lessons or guitar lessons. I didn't go to school for acting, nothing like that. I had to learn everything as I went along. So first of all, I learned how to sing a little because I listened to Elvis and Little Richard and Everly Brothers and Buddy Holly and Ricky Nelson, all of them on this album. And I learned how to do that. Then when I came into movies, I had to learn immediately how to move and dance with dancers who had been trained. So I learned everything as I came along. So of course I've been really lucky. And I'm very, very grateful.
And because of this, you give a tenth of what you earn money back to charity.
I always, every time I go on tour, when I come back, I sit with my business manager and he said, should we do the percentage to charity? I said, yes, please. So I give a percentage of my money to charity. And it goes to my charitable trust, and it works mostly in Britain. But sometimes, like in Nazareth, in Israel, I helped to fund a tennis school because it was. I found it really interesting that Freddie Cravine started it. He's died now, but his daughter has taken over. And they teach tennis to Arab children and Israeli children together. And they play doubles together. And all the Arab and Israeli problems that have happened over the years, you think in some small way now, some children will grow up to be men and women thinking, why is there this problem? I've been playing doubles with my Arab friend, or I've been playing doubles with my Israeli friend for 15 years now. So it's a nice way to feel that you can play a small, tiny part in maybe bringing a change. Because in the end, the best changes start in the heart. Politically you can make a rule, but unless your mind and your heart has been converted, it stays the same. So,
you can
fingers
watch
crossed.
So much things on Facebook. Birds and cats being friends. Dogs and cats.
Yes.
The enemies,
impossible situations.
when they come together very early, they will not be enemies.
No, that's right. That's right. So that's the theory behind it. And so far they've got some nice players coming through. And when I went there, I went and visited them and said, it'll be a wonderful dream for me if one day I'm sitting at Wimbledon and there's one of the boys or girls, or maybe a boy and a girl from the same school, are playing in the first round of Wimbledon. That would be fantastic.
I love those new versions you did very much, but for me the best song is your song, the last one.
Oh, well.
And I will play it at my radio show called Hey Music I'm doing from 1969.
Oh yeah,
today.
Yeah.
And please, a few words about this song.
The record company wanted me to do. We all agreed we'd like to do this compilation of fabulous, iconic rock and roll songs, and they said we'd like one brand new song. So I told my producer, who's a writer, he wrote songs for me before, and I said to him, Steve, have you got any new songs? And he sent me his demo. He and his co-writer wrote the song called One More Sunny Day, and I listened to it and I liked it immediately. And to me, that's not a guarantee. There's no guarantee that I am right. But in my career, a lot of the times I have been correct. I've chosen the right material. I've chose We Don't Talk Anymore. I chose to do Devil Woman, Living Doll, all the big hits, Waterlippen. And so my instinct has been right maybe 60% of the time. And that's good. So this one, I love the song. If it had been 25 years ago, I think it would be a single.
Today it's harder.
It's much more difficult now to guarantee. There's no guarantee of airplay. So I'm very happy to hear that you might be playing that one. And I'll tell Steve, when I email him, I'm going to tell him that you picked it out, that you thought it was the best track on the album. So it's nice to know. And for me, it was important to have it there, because when you play it, you'll hear the rock and roll stuff I do. And when One More Sunny Day starts, it sounds completely different. I sound completely different. And I want them to know that I am still a contemporary singer. I don't rely on the past. I love the past, and everything that I do is based on the past. But you need to, as a singer, and if there's any young singers listening, you have to be aware that there is an influence coming, and take it, but make it your own. I used to say, we used to call it being on the bandwagon. The bandwagon is rock and roll. And I used to say, no, I don't want to be on the bandwagon. I just want to run along behind it or alongside it, and sometimes get in front. And then, so you have your own life and you have your own music. And One More Sunny Day is my opportunity to say, okay, I hope you enjoy these old songs, but here's one that you might like, and it's brand new.